Hello everyone. Feels like it's been a while since I've been on. So I want to come on and do a second resin project. This one I'm going to be making keychains. So the first one that I'm doing, this is a very simple, easy version. I printed out a picture on my printer and I printed one on glossy paper. I printed one on regular printer paper. And before they were laminated, the printer paper was not very good quality. Let me see. I mean, it's not bad quality, but I don't know if you can tell, but it looks like it's printed on paper. But when it was laminated, the colors kind of got a little bit darker, and you can't see the printing, the ink printing as much. So it does look better if it's laminated, but the glossy paper, let me see if I can catch the light. The glossy paper looks better than the laminated printer paper. So if you can, I do recommend that you use glossy paper for printing your pictures. So I printed them. I printed two actually, and I taped them together. I glued the two together so that I have a picture on the front and the back, and then I laminated it. I use a heat laminator, but you can use, any kind of lamination, heat laminator, or you can use a self-adhesive lamination sheets, or even packaging tape. But the packaging tape, I find that a lot of times, depending on the brand, they leave bubbles and you can't get rid of them. It's part of the tape for some reason. So I don't like using the packaging tape, but the laminating sheets, whether it's heat lamination or self-adhesive, work better. The heat laminator looks better than the adhesive ones. I think they give like a cloudy look. So I have this ready, and all you have to do after you laminate it is cut it out. And I cut out a little loop here for the ring. So I'm going to laminate that as I'm going to put resin over that as well. And then the second one I'm going to do is I have this keychain mold. I'm not sure if it's a keychain or a dog charm. Some of them it's titled dog charm, but either one works as long as it has a little thing for the hole. And I'm going to use this picture, which is one-sided, and also I laminated. And I cut it very close to the edge, but not up against the picture because, let me see. If you can see here, there's like a little, you can see how there's like a little, I guess, whitish shade here. That's where the laminating sheets did not touch. They didn't seal. Because the heat rollers, as it comes off the paper, there's a little gap between where the paper is and where the laminating sheets are. So if you cut up right against there, it's not fully sealed, and so the resin can seep in underneath the plastic and into the paper. So you want to leave a little bit to make sure that it's fully sealed. Okay, and this does fit inside here. And it doesn't go all the way to the edge. You want to make sure there's a little space at the edge for the resin to go, or else if there's a gap, it can get into this. So make sure there's like a little bit of an edge for the resin to flow over. For this mold, you can make this the top and put this down and then fill in the back, or you can use this as the back and then put the picture in the front. I'm going to do it this way. You can't do it this way. It would just, the process would be backwards. So I'm going to put like a solid or colored resin down here first, and then I'm going to put the picture and cover it with clear. But if you were going to do it backwards, you would do clear, put your picture down, and then do the colored or the solid in the back. So it's just the order of the process. So I'm going to do the back as my colored. Okay, so to get started, I have to put on my gloves. I have some of the resin from the letters that I did before. Right here, the purple. And it's still good. There is a little bit here on this side. I don't know if you can tell. It's stuck to the plastic where a little bit of sunlight got to it. and so it kind of hardened, but the rest of it is pretty good, so I can still use it. I can also add more resin if I need to. And then I also have this that I'm going to use. This is from another project that I was working on, and it has gold flakes in it. Yeah. I have it for scrapbooking, and you can just put it in here. If you mix it, it will tear it all apart into little pieces. So I have this. So what I will do, and I have my lighter here, I have my UV light, and my silicone tools. So for the first one, I'm going to start with this. I'm going to open up. I have to remember to mix because the glitter does fall to the bottom. So you want to mix it really well. And actually, as I'm mixing, I can see the clumps where the sun got to the resin. I don't want to use those. If it was a thick piece, it wouldn't matter. If it was thick and it was clear, it wouldn't matter because it's all going to harden together anyway. But I want this to be relatively thin. Okay. Now I'm mixing a lot, so there might be some air bubbles in here. I should be mixing it slower, but there may be some air bubbles. And mixed in with the glitter, sometimes you can't really tell. It may not really matter as much. But I have my little heat tool, my lighter, so I'm going to use that to zap some of the bubbles. Okay, I'm going to close this for now because it smells. Alright, I will use my tool. You want to get it into all the corners and along the edge. And you also want to get it back here into behind the hole, because that is where your key ring will go. Okay. And then once you have it all spread out, you want to stick it under the UV light. Because this has the glitter, I will probably stick it in for like 120 seconds. So 60 seconds twice. Or 3 times even, if I feel like it's not fully hardened. Now this may not turn out perfectly because, I don't know if I mentioned it last, I think I did. This resin that I'm using, it tends to curl. So I will show you that at the end, but yeah, still okay. Alright, so I'm going to hit it with my heat really quickly. Okay, I think that's good. You don't want to hit it too long because it will melt stuff. It will melt your mold even. Okay, so I'm going to go put this under the UV light. Okay, hold on one moment. Okay, and while I'm waiting for that, I'm going to start on this one. This one is really easy. All you have to do is cover the front. You do have to be a little careful as you cover it, because you do not want it to overflow over the edge too much at all if possible. So let me clean my tool. I'm going to use the same tool, so I'm going to clean this off. And again, for this one, it's really easy. If you can't get all the glitter and stuff off, you can just use your UV light and dry it. I usually don't do this straight from the bottle, but since this is a relatively big piece, I'm going to pour a little bit on top, like that. And use my tool to kind of spread it out. And I'm going to spread it out in the middle first. I'll get the edges later. Oh, I may need more. Actually, rather than this tool, I think I will use... I have one that is like a flat edge. It has a wider space. So I'm going to use this one instead. And just lightly spread it out. When you spread it out, it's best not to like push down on the plastic, but just like lightly graze the top of it. That way you don't create more holes. Again, if you use the light, reflection of the light, let me see. Oh, I can't see. If you use the reflection of the light, let me see. You can see where the, I don't know if you can see that, but you can check and see where there are gaps in the resin. So I do need more because it's not able to spread very well. So you want to spread this out and get it close to the edge. I will get it close all around first, and then you're going to go right up to the edge. But I want to spread it out first to make sure that I don't have too much in one area. I find that if I do that and then I move to the edge, it actually ends up overflowing. As opposed to if it's a thin layer and you move it to the edge, it'll just hang right on the edge. Okay. And then check to make sure that there are no gaps on the front, on the top. Okay, and then just lightly, just dab it and then lightly move your tool over to the edge and it will cover that area without going over. So this is a bit of a tedious process, but one that's necessary. Well, for me it's necessary. And again, I'm not an expert at this, so I don't know if this is how I'm supposed to be doing it. It's just the way that works for me. Oh, I got blue glitter in there. Okay. And if you see any bubbles, like I don't know if you can see it, but there's a bubble right there. So I'm just going to move that over to the outside. Oh, this is a big piece. I might need more. I think I need more. The other pieces I worked on were smaller. Okay. There's a bubble. After I do the sides, I'm going to go back and do the keyring part, the top, because that needs to be resined as well to make it sturdy. Otherwise, when you put your keyring on and you carry it around and stuff, it'll tear the plastic. So yeah, so just continue going around the whole thing. And then we'll stick it under the UV light. So how have you guys been? I have been rather busy with what? Tax season. Oh, I do not like tax season. I have to do, well, I do my husband does our taxes, but I have to go do my mother's tax. Her personal as well as her business. She doesn't have an accountant. I probably should hire one, find one and hire an accountant, and I may do that starting next year. But up until now, the past few years after my father passed away, I've been doing her taxes for her, so it's been a little bit busy with that. I have to go down again this week to my mom's to help her with her tax, to finish doing her taxes. Yeah. And yeah, so whenever I get stressed with money stuff like that, I have a hard time creating. My creativity goes down. So I haven't really been doing very much of anything creative wise anyway. So this is a nice little reprieve. Okay, so I finished it all. I made a little gap here when I swiped it up. I have to cover that up again. It's really interesting. It kind of, when you move it, sometimes it forms little dimples. In the light, you can see it. The reflection of the light, it makes little dimples. I'm moving this because there's a hole, there's a bubble. Okay. So we're going to do this. It's the same thing. You want to be extra careful here because you don't want to fill in the hole in the center. Because if you fill that in, when you go to harden the resin, cure the resin, then it's very difficult to get the hole back. You can drill a small hole with the little hand drill that you have, or that I have. I can do that. But to drill a hole this big for the keyring to go into is very difficult to do. So you have to be careful. You want to get as close to the edge of the hole, but you want to make sure you don't accidentally cover the hole or fill in the hole. Okay, I'm going to go and get rid of some of the bubbles that I see. Okay. And then I'm going to move it over to my resin. My UV light, and I will be right back. Okay, I'm back. I have the glittered back. Okay, so if you can see, we have a little bit left here. It's like half the depth of the keyring left. And so you can put your picture right in here. But before you put that in, I put in a little bit more resin on the back. But instead of the regular clear resin, I'm going to put in this foil resin. So this is silver foil that's used in pretty much any kind of craft. You can use it. I use it in scrapbooking, but you can use it in like jewelry, or what do they use in like furniture, for furniture and deco, home deco. You don't need to do this. I just like to do it because it adds like a nice sparkle. And that's a big chunk there. Okay. I don't want to add too much. I don't want it to overwhelm. Okay. And adding this kind of helps stick the picture down, I guess. The resin works as a glue. But you have to be careful because the UV light, if you use regular resin, it's okay, but the UV light, it doesn't go through the picture. So this back part, it's not going to dry until I take it out and I put on the UV light upside down. So what I mean by that, okay, with the picture, the UV will go through around it, but it doesn't go through the picture. The picture will stop the UV, so anything under the picture will not cure. So after I do this, it will cure on the outside, and then I'll put another layer on top and cure the top. But then I have to take this out, flip it upside down, and then cure it from the bottom to get this part to completely cure. So I'm going to stick this in here. And this is the tricky part. You want to make sure you get all of the air bubbles that are underneath the picture out. So what I do is I kind of very lightly push and wiggle. And usually that will push out any air bubbles that you might have underneath the picture. You have to be careful because again, like, you know, you're going to end up squishing a lot of the resin that's under the picture out. And if you squish it too much and then the picture starts to lift, you will create more air bubbles. So you want to do it very lightly and slowly. Well, for me anyway. That's what happens to me. And what I've discovered is sometimes it will come over the edge of the picture, the resin, and that's actually a good thing because then if it lifts up, it sucks the resin back underneath instead of air. Okay. All right, and then this time I'm just going to hit it with the handheld one. The other one, the one I just stuck under the UV lamp, I'm going to do that for more than 120, maybe 190, is it? 180? I'm going to do it for a while so that it hardens really well. If it doesn't harden really well, when you take it out and flip it upside down to work on it, it gets scratches and stuff or streaks on the other side. So you want to make sure that it's hardened really well. So I'm going to do this, and it shouldn't take too long because it's a thin layer. You're not going to get under the picture anyway. Just enough that it is somewhat hard. Okay, and then cover that with a layer of clear resin. Okay, and I will use my tool to spread it out. Very similar as with the other one that I did. You're going to want to spread it out. And as you spread it out, you want to be careful not to create holes in the front. And move it out, make it nice and even and straight. Yeah, this is curling, I can tell already. This one's curling. Okay. And then I'm going to go stick this one under the UV lamp as well. I'll be right back. Okay, so I stuck this in for 60 seconds and it is hard and it's still a little bit soft. It's not fully hardened, which is how I want to do it. I'm going to try taking it out now. There's some holes on this side. I'm going to try taking it now. I'm going to put the doming layer, but I'm going to try hardening it from the back to see if that will prevent it from curling more. And then this one, it is hard on this top side. It's not perfectly smooth. There are still some bubbles, I guess, that I didn't get to pop fully. But I'm going to do the back side and then go back and do the front again. Dome the front and back one more time after that. If it comes out well, you know, it's not necessary, but since it's still a little lumpy. It's a little bit, I don't know, let me see. Can you see it's a little bit curved? Yeah, you can see it. Okay, it's a little bit curved. So, I don't know. I hope it'll straighten out. Alright. It may not straighten out. I'm not sure. I hope it does, but oh well. It's the characteristic of this resin. So I'm going to put a layer on here again. And this time I'm going to put it all around so I don't have to move it around as much. Alright, and back to spreading again. So oh no, I think I did put too much. Oh, no. I did put too much this time. Okay, so carefully go around. And because it is curving, it is falling over a little bit too easily. Alright, I'm gonna have to fix that. So what happened is it flowed over a little bit too quickly. Let me see, is my hole okay? And you can see it's spilling out here. So what I'm going to do, it just filled in my hole, okay. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to pick this up. I'm going to use this side. Very carefully, I'm going to let it spill. That I can clean up relatively easy. Okay. And take a paper towel, wipe the edges a little bit. I'm going to have to do a doming on top. Okay, so the edges have all been covered. It's going to be a little messy on the other side because there's some resin that spilled over, but that's okay. But all the edges are covered and my hole is free of resin. That's what I need. Okay, so yeah, if you do too much like I did and it overflows, just let it overflow. Just pick it up, let it spill over until there's a thin layer, and then that is easy to clean up, so we can clean that up. And this one, stick it under the lamp. Okay, so everything that's here right now, the easiest way to clean it up is, oh, my gloves too. Turn on the UV lamp, and I'm just gonna, starting with my gloves, to dry the resin that's on my gloves. Just go ahead and stick it under the UV light. And after it cures, it will no longer be sticky or wet or get in on anything else. If you leave it this way, you'll get resin on stuff. And we do not want that. So I'm going to throw that out. Maybe I'll get a new pair of gloves. And I'm going to cure this. And you know what? I'll be right back. I'm going to turn this off while I do this. Okay, so I cleaned everything up. And I'm going to work on this one. I put it under the resin light upside down, so it's a little bit harder. It's not bending as much. And so I'm going to put clear resin on top. Okay, so again, I think I mentioned before, I don't like to use this because sometimes it pours out more than I want or more than I realize I'm pouring. Like before. So this one, it has a little bit of an edge from the mold since I didn't go to the top of the mold. So I'm just going to fill in the center. I don't necessarily have to go to the edge on this one. Because I'm going to fill it as I go. I'm going to do smaller layers because this side, it's a little bit, it has a few little holes. Actually, that needs more. Because it's curved, but fortunately this one is curved inwards, so the resin goes into the center instead of outwards. So it's not going to give me the same problem as the other one did. The other one, the resin was going outwards, so it spilled out. You still want to be careful around the hole, but you don't have to worry about it spilling over the edge quite as much. Okay, so I'm going to fill this all the way out, and it will probably sink back to the center. The center is pretty deep, and you want to make sure to get all the air bubbles. Let me see. So this one, on this one side, it didn't dry very well, so the edge here, it was not completely filled with resin, so it has a little bit of a strange edge. Okay, do I have any bubbles in there? You know, the last time I didn't heat it with that heat gun, or with my lighter, so I think I got some bubbles in there last time. Okay, so I'm gonna hit it. Okay, it does burn, oddly. I guess because, you know, it is resin. Alright, so I'm gonna stick this one under the light to let it cure. I'll be back. Okay, I'm back with the first one. So this is the side that I just did, and it dried pretty well. So it smoothed out fairly well. I do have to go over the edge a little bit. I missed the edge a little. The curving has been pretty well fixed. So before I do this other side, because it's still curving slightly, I'm going to do this front side one more time. So the same thing. Okay. And I'm going to try to put less this time. Okay, we'll start with that. And so I'm going to do this on this side one more time, and then I'm going to flip it over and do it on the other side one more time. And that will give it a pretty good layer of resin so that it's not flexible. It gets pretty stiff. I kind of prefer it stiff. I don't know, I think because that's just the way I'm used to keychains being. You don't have to make it that way. If it looks well, if it looks good, after the first layer, you can just leave it that way. But usually after the first layer, there are places that I missed, or as it dries, it bumps up against something. So there's like certain little scratches that need to be covered. So usually I do need to do a second layer just to get that nice finished look. Okay, so going over the edges carefully. Again, as long as you're not overflowing it, it will hang right on the edge without overflowing. And sometimes you have to brush your tool all along the edge to make sure that you don't miss any edge area. I like making these keychains, but I don't know what to do with them. I have too many. So, I don't know. My husband thinks... No. My husband doesn't want me to sell them because copyright issues. And yeah, I do give them... I have given a few out to people. I guess I could do that more. Give out more to more people. So I kind of haven't been doing too many keychains anymore because I have a lot of the glass ones that I made before. And these I haven't made a lot because I have so many glass ones, but I do like these better. They're lighter, easier to carry around. Okay, I think I am pretty much done with this. I got all the areas covered. I think I have a few bubbles. I got all the edges. I don't think I have any gaps on the edges. And the really good thing about resin is even if you miss the spot the first time around, if you go back again, let me see. If you go back again with resin, then the hole completely disappears so that you can't tell that it was even there. Oh wait. So now that I lift it up, I can move it around the light and I can see that it's not fully covered on the edge there. So the edge over here. So I'm going to move some of this up. There's a lot down here. Yeah, this over here is not covered very well. Let me see. You don't want to I tilted it a little bit because I wanted it to go down that way, but you don't want to tilt it too much. I tilted it a little bit too long because then it will overflow again. Okay. I don't like it when it like has little dimples, like it puckers. Okay, so I'm gonna stick this under the light and I will be back. Okay, I have this one back again and it's still curved. It actually curved back again after I stuck it in. So it still feels like it's still a little bendy. So I'm gonna try to stick it in backwards again to see if that will straighten it out. I have a feeling it's not gonna. I think the clear bends. Maybe I should put a clear on the back. Maybe that will fix it. Let me try that. We'll experiment today. So I'll put a little bit, a layer of clear on the back. Okay, just a small little bit. And see if it will cause it to bend back the other way. I really wish it wouldn't do that because I like these, but they're all curved. Okay. Again, I want to try to get the whole back covered all the way to the edges. Okay. And when you put it under the lamp, if you're holding it like I am, you want to make sure not to get your fingers into the resin, be it on the, definitely not this, but even if you're holding on the side, you want to make sure that your gloves don't get into the resin. Hold it very carefully, because once the light hits, it will start to cure immediately, and if your gloves are holding it, it will dry weird. It will cause issues. Okay, so I think I need more on there though. I see puckering. Can you see that? Like right here, the light is moving around the dimple there. There's like a little hole. And that just means that it's not a thick enough layer of resin in that area for it to smooth out all over the whole area. Okay, so go through, check to make sure it's all covered. There's no puckering, no dimples. or a minimal number of dimples. I'll hold it diagonal just to get some of the resin to come down the side. Okay. It's tough because I was holding it at the other angle. Wait, maybe if I hold it this way, because like the light is on the other side, so I can't see. Okay. Make sure you don't get it in the hole. Okay. I'm going to stick this under upside down to see if it will straighten out the curve. Okay, moving right along, we're going to flip it over, and I'm just going to finish off on this side, because if you remember, it ran over a little bit. Okay. And I will do this side, and then that should be it for this one. So this will work. This method pretty much works for any picture you would have. It doesn't have to be a keychain. If you want to make bookmark, even there's resin bookmarks. You can do this. Use this method to make a resin bookmark, or just like a thick photo card. You know, whatever it is that you want to do. Oh, it curved the other way now. My goodness. Okay, when you do this, you should go slower than I'm going, because now it curved the other way and it's spilling on the other side. Oh my goodness. Okay. This is not going well. But it's okay, because as long as you guys can see my mistakes, you can figure out what not to do. Learn from what I do wrong. Okay, so do not rush. Do not put too much resin on one side. Put in the center, or make sure that you spread it out as you pour it on. Actually, you shouldn't pour. That's my problem. I shouldn't have been pouring. Okay. Get rid of the dimples. Okay. Make sure you get it all to the edges. I might have to do this one more time because it overflowed. Okay, I think trying to do this on camera is harder. All right. Okay, I'm gonna stick this under now. Okay, so this one, it is done, but I think off camera later I'm going to add another layer on the top and the bottom. It's still a little flexible, so I think I can add another layer. This one I'm going to add another layer also. It's still bent a little bit. This side, I don't know if you can see, I told you it had holes, so I'm going to fill in the side so that it's the holes are all filled in, and so that it's flat on this side at least. But yeah, I'm going to do that after I turn off the video. I'm going to just finish it off. But you can use the resin to make keychains or whatever you want these to be. They can be bookmarks. This is thin enough to be a bookmark. So you can make a bookmark out of them, or keychains, or charms, or whatever. Yeah. The mold, there are plenty of keychain type molds. The only thing, again, is this resin. I don't know how to make it not curve. So if you want to use the molds, I think I might need to try out the regular resin. Not the UV one. The one that takes like 24 hours to cure. Oh, goodness. I'm so impatient. I don't know if I can wait 24 hours, but that might be a better choice since this one keeps on curving. I will test out the other one, the new one that I bought, and let you know if that's any better. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty easy. And it looks nice. Okay, till next time. Bye.